right, everyone, welcome back to Central Coast Disc Golf. This is the Innova Blue Ridge Championship at North Cove. I am Nate Perkins, and I'm joined here with my good friend Ella Hansen.
Howdy. We got a good crew, an all Innova card here. Bit of a struggle on the front nine for them, but a lot of scoreable opportunities on this back nine. A scoreable course in general. We see Kristen Tatar off to a hot start, 5 down on her front nine. A lot of good rounds getting laid down. I mean, I think this is one of the more scoreable FPO courses we're gonna see on tour, and
cool.
It's fun.
Well, if you weren't here for the front, we are in Marion, North Carolina. We're about 2 hours west of Charlotte and about an hour northeast of Asheville at the North Cove Disc Golf and Leisure Club. We are in the Catawba River Valley, and it's one of the finest settings for disc that I've seen personally. And here we are, hole 10, Ella.
Yeah, hole 10, I think one of the toughest par 4s on the course, 606 feet, not too long, but OB all along the right side of the river, and 2 big sand traps that can, maybe not Emily is going to get in there, but definitely can take some strokes from players on this hole. This lines up really nicely for a big righty turnover backhand, and that cart path there on the left is actually not OB, so you don't have to worry too much about pushing it long or too far left. Again, I'm kind of surprised to see Owen throwing a forehand on this hole, kind of similar to hole 2, but worked for her on hole 2, so we'll see what happens here on hole 10.
Plenty of distance there.
Yeah, good shot right into the middle of the fairway. And this green is probably vertically not the most challenging, but in terms of OB, a really tough green. There's a lot of out of bounds that kind of protrudes up from the edge of that river, and
it's a spot where you really have to know the course. You have to know this green, because part of it's blind. You can't quite see where that OB starts and finishes. Yep,
and that tree kind of to the left of the basket towards where Emily's disc finished. That's where I'm aiming on my upshot with the forehand. Trying to, again, stay away, like you said, from that out of bounds. That is a nice shot from Evelina.
And the thing about the 10th here is that the river has actually risen a bit, so the OB line has kind of changed here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only 12 feet behind this pin.
Yeah, it's a really, really tight, and, fortunately, we didn't really have rain during the round, but that was something I thought about was, if it starts raining really hard, maybe it'll, be different conditions for different cards, throughout the day. Oh. And wow, that's a lucky sit there for Owen. She could have very easily skipped off that rock and into the creek. And you can see where that OB line is right there. That's such an easy place to hyzer out into if you're throwing a forehand. That, I couldn't really tell. I mean, I think that was a little bit of a floaty bid from Henna.
On the pole, 28 feet, slightly uphill. Yeah, hole 10 playing 2/3 of a stroke over par, just 6% of the field carding a birdie here.
Yeah, and I think in general, these par 4s on this course are very high scoring opportunities for the field, but I think this one, I'm curious actually statistically if this is the hardest one.
Hardest par 4.
Yeah.
Yep.
That makes sense. And getting in for the par.
Yeah, so we were really preparing for bad weather here,
Yes.
and it turned out to be a really pleasant morning here
Yep.
in the Catawba River Valley.
Couple moments of sprinkles, but generally not much to worry about weather-wise.
You get a chance to go explore? You go check out any of the waterfalls in the area?
Yeah, I've looked around a little bit. Not quite as much as I want. I think tomorrow afternoon I might
You gotta go
and
check out the Linville
it out.
Falls.
Okay.
It's in the gorge immediately east of this valley, and I think it's one of the most visited falls in North Carolina. It's a spectacle.
Wow. That sounds like a great afternoon activity. All right, hole 11, par 3, 288, out of kind of a tight gap, and the basket is up on a hill, sloping left to right. This is going to be kind of a straight to turnover backhand. Looks like Evelina is throwing that J again. And
that is hard to do.
Yeah.
I mean, she floats that mid 35 feet long.
yeah, that's showing off some of her power.
Emily finds a 3-foot gap, if that. She's also deep at this pin.
Wow. And this green is kind of tough to stick, right. It's hard to pin this hole with the way that the green slopes. And then just a little bit of a late release catching that tree. This is the kind of gap that you're like, easy to hit. And it kind of gets in your head. I think the way the tee pad is a little bit lined up. It's a hard mental gap, I think. Owen showing how it's done. I really enjoy playing with Owen sometimes because, I think holes that me or Hannah or Evelina might be throwing a putter on, she's like, I'm throwing
Destroyer.
It's just like, okay, but she has
On a
such
force over.
control with it,
It doesn't matter if it's 250 or 400.
Yeah.
Destroyer.
She's throwing Destroyer.
On maximum angle.
Yep.
She's a joy to play with. I've never heard
is.
anybody say they don't like playing with Owen Scoggins.
Yeah. Even if she's having a bad round, it's a fun time hanging out with Owen. So a couple of longer bids here from the bottom of the hill. And the bottom of the hill is definitely the more comfortable place to run it from. This is another example of a kind of treacherous green where bad things can happen if you miss your putts.
That's a rare circle one miss from Owen. Gotta wonder if that death putt that you were kind of talking about is crept into her mind.
Oh.
And that's the miss that unfortunately we've seen quite often from Hannah.
And this hole, and you can sort of hear it a little bit in the audio, just kind of right in the middle of this little valley on the course where some wind starts to pick up, and one of the more open greens kind of gets into your head. The next couple holes are all, for the most part, going to be headwinders, and this is kind of right on the turn where you start to figure out what headwind discs you want to be throwing. So after that
Tough
first
hole.
tree kick, couple missed putts, that's a double. There's Owen throwing that maximum distance driver there. Actually, it's like you were saying about in the front nine about her grip and how she holds those drivers, or just in general. I was actually talking to Haley King about how I hold my distance drivers, and like for me, I'm really pinching kind of more on my back fingers and my thumb, not so much with my index finger. And I'm curious. I want to do a little more examining of where that pressure point is for a lot of players. I have a feeling it corresponds to some distance bits.
I'm interested now.
Yeah.
What's the secret?
Yeah.
You've got something figured out, Ella.
Hole 12.
Oh, so close to finding that flat ground.
Yeah, this is one of the most frustrating out of bounds I had. My shot today looked very similar to that shot from Evelina. Just, you can feel like it's perfect, and if you just hit the side of that hill, it's very easy to roll out of bounds. Emily throwing a nice one there. Good angle control, getting herself up to about 20 feet.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a narrow landing zone because there's more inbounds, but you really want to, for that forehand, hit on the top of the hill, that flat part, and oh man.
Yeah, she just doesn't get that MD3 turned and just hyzers out. Is this normal OB rules right here?
So we've got
drop zone.
A drop zone. Yeah, this it doesn't play as an island. There is a where you're teeing off is from inbounds, but all OBs, unless you come to a rest on this section where the basket is, play from that drop zone.
Ooh, just a gorgeous direct putt right there, and she's really in control of the pace of her putts.
Yeah.
Especially from that circle's edge.
She's channeling her inner own.
Oh.
That's great.
That's
That's really
amazing.
great. That's what you got to do. If you want to be a good putter, you just got to think of yourself as own Scoggins. Canning the birdie putt there. This is really an own hole, getting that full flex forehand and just not being scared of a death putt. So we're going to have 2 birdies and 2 bogeys. Those 2 Finns did not want to mess around with going OB long, just laid up, eating that bogey stroke. She's got a little bit of wobble on it there, Nate. Not quite the same, but
maybe
a little
she's
bit.
got some insight, Ella, 'cause no one has had the answer. And there's something mechanically that's going on to make it wobble. And Kristen, 6 under through 12. She's leading the pack.
She's crushing.
So the rest of this course, we're kind of heading north, heading downstream here and into a slight headwind for kind of the rest of the holes. What do we have here?
Yeah, not too strong of a headwind on these, but definitely noticeable, definitely affects the disc. This is another short, actually, yeah, this is the shortest hole on the course, I believe, 225, par 3, very strong uphill. And there is an OB line kind of right on the edge of the circle there. To the left of the basket and going all the way up, all the way down.
And completely blind here on this tee shot.
Looks like Emily playing it safe. I don't know if she quite got as much turn as she wanted to off of that.
Yeah, because there's no way she's playing it for par.
Right. I don't think so. This is honestly kind of a tough shot. It's You're throwing uphill, but you don't want to throw too much because you don't want it to just hyzer out in that wind and go out of bounds.
Yeah, and you really don't have a spot to pick. I mean, it's a whole again where practice is important. You want to know what disc you're throwing and at what speed because you don't really have a reference point out there in the sky.
Yeah, and this is a great kind of hole, I think, for throwing an overstable putt and approach disc. For me, I'm throwing a Razor Claw. I think probably Evelina's throwing a AVR 3, something that she loves throwing. And we actually had an ace on this hole today in the FPO field. So big shout out to Allie Smith for getting the blind ace on this one. Pretty sweet ace to get.
Oh, Hannah nearly drops that in. Yeah, how fun is it to throw a blind hyzer and hear chains?
Yeah, I was down on hole 8 when that happened, and we just heard the cheering and saw her running up. So pretty awesome.
So you witnessed a throw in on the front and an ace on the back.
Yep. Emily getting it in for par.
Yeah, this is one of the most birdied holes on the Boulders course. Nearly 40% of the field carding birdie here.
Yeah, a bit surprising to not see more than one on this feature card. Only Own getting that wobble birdie. Oh my gosh!
Look at the laser focus. Now you're wondering.
Oh,
right?
I mean, I've thought about the wobble.
Okay.
I've noticed the wobble, but I
Can you
haven't
recreate
really...
it?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just hit me up.
I don't want to try.
And let us know in the comments, guys. Leave us a comment below. We need to know the sports science behind
for sure.
the wobble disc golf putt. And this is, of course, one of the most viewed holes in all of disc golf. Caleb Hall throwing an ace here on this 612-foot hole. Slightly downhill, but I mean, it really is a true par 4 for
sure.
this tournament.
Yep, 612 feet, like you said. Kind of a free-for-all sort of off the tee. I mean...
Time to let it rip.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of options. I'm seeing Own. She really is throwing... I haven't really seen her throw many backhands off the tee. I'm actually pretty curious about that, I think.
Yeah, we saw the backhand on one.
Yeah.
And just...
Yeah. I might have to ask her about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just want to get down there, get a lot of
look at this
distance.
late flip.
Oh, Emily.
And she had the nose up, and she still got that to late flip. I'm curious of the stability of that.
Yeah,
disc, or she just really got it up to speed.
Yeah, she has a lot of power, a lot of speed. Evelina not quite getting that flip, I think. Maybe with how much Emily's flipped on that previous shot, she was kind of expecting a little more with the headwind. But like I said, it's kind of a free-for-all. I mean, you just really want to get distance, get down there, and it's possible to birdie it, get your upshot up there from most of this very wide fairway.
But. So I've got to ask, what's the closest shot you threw all week?
I threw one 560, I think. So
it's like 50 feet short.
50 feet short, yeah.
Into circle too.
Yeah. This was a fun one to throw a lot off of in practice. And definitely not the scariest green on the course, but up on a hill. Got a couple little trees and bushes just inside and right around the circle. So you want to play a nice speed-controlled shot up to the green. That'll work fine.
Another little standstill down-tempo approach there from Hina. Well thrown. And, of course, we've got to give a shout-out to Sarah Holcomb for dunking this one in for the eagle from about 250.
Yeah, that's... Man, that must have been an awesome shot. I haven't actually... Didn't see that one, even though... So, Sarah was on the card in front of me, but... pretty epic eagle to get.
Yeah, 3 good-looking putts in a row from Emily.
Yep, she's one of those players that, you know, she's got a strong committed putt, and when she's feeling it, she can lay down some really hot rounds.
Oh, and great comeback there.
Getting a little bit of love from Hannah.
Hannah approves. She knows that distance is not really Evelina's forte right now.
Yeah. Especially that uphill, kind of a death putt. That requires a lot of commitment. And there we go. Another birdie as well.
Good hole for this featured card. I suppose it's worth noting that there's not great service out here. I heard a lot of players say that they weren't able to check scores, and there were a lot of UDisc volunteers that actually weren't able to upload. And so, you know, does that ever affect you? Or are you someone that kind of checks scores, Ella, or does that ever come into play?
I like to check scores. Sometimes I try not to, but I enjoy it. I like seeing what other people are doing, and I definitely kind of was flip-flopping between that UDisc and the PDGA Live, trying to see, you know, what was going on. So hole 15, getting towards the end of it. It's a par 3, 294 feet, probably plays at least 350 uphill. Green is protected by some of these trees. It's going to be a close to max power, at least flex forehand for most of the FPO. For Emily, I'm assuming she's going to be just throwing a straight hyzer, and there is also a play to kind of just go straight at it and try to push through those trees. Wow.
That's so pretty.
That is so pretty.
I mean, that was just a foot from finding the mulch, but she's in the circle.
And yeah, I mean, if you want to see somebody who knows how to control some flex shots, you should definitely watch Own. She's got a lot of control with those. And as you saw on the fly over, there is a little bit of a ditch here right before the circle, and it looked like it caught Own and Emily's shots. So that's going to leave them with circle's edge putts. And that was a beautiful shot.
That was gorgeous. It looked like it was going to be an ace run. It catches the last guardian tree, but just the lines that Hannah is able to visualize and execute, I don't think anyone else is really throwing it that wide and high. Yeah. I mean, this whole kind of asks the players to shape something from left to right, but she really drew that one in from way high.
Yeah. So Emily down in the ditch. Wow.
Okay. She's feeling it right now. Yeah. She's leading the pack right now on this featured card and putting well on the last 4 holes.
Nice. Wow.
We just needed a little time to warm things up.
And this was one of the tougher holes for the FPO field. I don't think there were more than, 6 or so birdies, so that was 2 of them right there. That's pretty solid for the feature card.
Yeah, just 6% of the field carding birdie here on the 15th.
Tough miss for Evelina.
Hannah, Emily, and Hannah Wynn are the only 3 competitors to card a birdie.
Yeah, sweet to see 2 out of those 3 on this one. So Evelina takes a bogey, Own takes a par. Yeah, I mean she's got a little wobble, but not on the Own level. but a great putt, dead center. You saw how drastic that uphill looks, and that's a great putt. Checking in on the leaderboard.
Oh,
Kristen
log
laying
jam.
down a shredder.
Yeah, setting the pace there at 8 down.
Absolutely.
This is a beautiful hole. Asking the players to throw at least 320 to clear this bunker. And that plays as a hazard?
Yep, bunker is a hazard, and you can kind of go straight at it. I prefer throwing the righty hyzer play, playing sort of away from that bunker and playing to the far side of the green, giving yourself a look if you get close, but not risking getting it into the bunker.
Yeah, there's a lot of airspace out right on this one, and that cart path on the right shouldn't really come into play.
Good looking shot from Emily, giving herself to the edge of the circle, and that's going to be one of those decision maker putts. Are you running it? Are you laying it up?
I think this is Thunderbird for Henna.
Makes sense. Playing that hyzer, getting a skip, and I think that's where a lot of shots are going to end up, with that kind of an angle. Again, giving herself a look.
This is really a distance that Owen can just kind of jam on this destroyer and not worry about going too deep. And that's decent throw. It kind of leaves you with a pretty scary putt.
Yeah. Evelina playing a little bit higher. Maybe trying to get that spike into the green, and that looks great. Excellent shot.
That's close. It's also got that kind of death putt feel to it.
Yeah, and the way that, that green kind of slopes down away into the bunker, if you're missing and not catching cage like Owen does, it's going to be pretty likely you end up down, rolled into the bunker, and
it's
maybe rolled
too.
to the back of the bunker too. So
Yeah.
you're going to have maybe a 30-footer for bogey, and that's pretty scary. So we see Emily lay that one up.
And that's why this hole is playing nearly a half stroke over par.
Good commitment there for Evelina. Love seeing her make that one. Yeah, I mean, she's had a couple of miscues on the putting green, but it seems like with most of those miscues, she's been able to make a nice putt on the next hole to sort of get her feel back into it.
And Evelina just one of 4 birdies on the day. Where you at, girl?
I laid up.
How'd you? Okay, laid up your putt.
Yeah, sure did. I was just outside the circle. I didn't want to mess around. I was feeling good from C2, but yeah, it didn't feel like the time to mess around for me, I guess. Nice. Catching that left side. Solid putt for Evelina. Hole 17. Super fun hole. Big downhill par 4. 569 feet. We've got OB on the left. We've got OB on the right. The cart path itself is inbounds, but to the right of it is out. And we've got a line on the left side, kind of right at the top of where that cliff kind of drops off. And of course, just to give it a little more challenge, we got a bunker right behind and surrounding this basket. So it is an eagleable hole. You can really get up there, and I know that pretty much this whole card has a chance to eagle it, but you're definitely risking some out of bounds.
Yeah, this one descends 22 feet from tee to green, and it is playing into a gentle headwind here, which kind of helps the disc stay turned over.
Yeah, and I definitely have also seen a couple of people trying to overcompensate, throwing on too much hyzer, and then the headwind will just keep it up and force it into that OB left. So it is a very...
Yeah, I felt like that was the most common miss.
Yeah.
Was just nose up, too much hyzer, and just drifting OB. Because the OB line is like up.
Yeah.
It's on the wood line. There's no scrambling out of the woods.
Right. If you're in the woods, you're out. That looks really solid for for Hannah getting up into the edge of the circle. What a great shot. And Owen just turns it over a little bit too much. That's going to be OB pretty short, and this is a scary approach shot. She's going to be looking to pin it. All right, that's a good spot for her. Speed control, very important on this approach. That looks great for Evelina.
This is just such a fun hole to play, fun hole to watch.
Yes.
And this is for the rare eagle here.
Just outside the circle. Oh, man. Right on target, just not quite enough juice.
And I was fortunate enough to be standing right behind Hall and Hanley.
Yeah.
As she puts her drive inside the bullseye on this 569-foot par 4. She was the lone eagle of the day. Did you attack this one, Ella?
No.
What are you throwing here?
I'm throwing an MD3 just straight down, trying to bite off a good amount of distance and just stay straight, give myself an easy birdie opportunity. This is the kind of hole, I mean, I practiced the go for it play. We'll see if I need to do that on day 3 MA, but that's a really fun hole for sure. Getting to our last of the day, hole 18, par 4, 609 feet. Out of this gap, really having to play a left to right shot off the tee, and this approach shot is pretty tough. There's that sand trap to the left that will play as hazard as well, same as 17. To the right side of the cart path is out of bounds, and very sloped green, elevated basket, kind of slopes both uphill and then also a little bit right to left, so challenging to pin this one for sure.
Yeah, nice push with that forehand there.
Looks like a lot of good distance. That should set her up pretty well for potentially another forehand into the green. And
roll back. Oh, dang. It had potential to kind of backspin off that cart path.
That's a bummer for Emily. This is the kind of hole that seems like it would really play to that lefty's advantage. Hannah playing that turnover, out driving Evelina.
Pretty shot right there.
Absolutely. And like you said, she just has so much control with that turnover angle.
Well, the crowd loves that one. And look, she's right up there with Hannah's turnover.
Yeah. Owen doesn't care about a sucker gap. She'll go for it.
Emily's probably looking at 330 to 350 into the green here.
Yeah, this is a long shot. Definitely plays a little easier with this lefty hyzer approach. Gets a good little skip and roll.
Oh, yeah. And she'll have that putt for par.
Yeah, I like this play from Evelina. Playing another forehand. Also hitting right to the edge of the circle.
And just check up right there. There is some roll-away potential here. Well thrown. We've seen quite a bit of that cotton candy destroyer out of Own already this year.
Yes. And Henna playing that backhand hyzer very well executed for her. Emily with this putt to keep a clean back nine. Nice.
What an up and down. And what a round. 4 under par. She struggled there on the front. Shoots 4 down. Clean 4 down on the back. And Evelina
doesn't want to take any chances. Yeah, doesn't want any part of that. I mean, and you can see why that is a tough miss for Henna. And wow, she is out to back around 45 feet even, and just lays up that one. So Henna will be looking at a bogey on 18. Owen with a birdie. Solid round for her. 3 down. Also 4 down on that back nine.
And Owen was just one of 4 birdies. Joined with Jessica Weiss, Macy Valadiaz, and Kona Montgomery. A lot of holes out here. You know, it's very scoreable, but there were quite a few holes where we just saw a handful of FPO players. Carter Birdie and Emily Beach too.
Putter was on fire this round. Smashing chains. Whew. That looked great.
Great setting for disc golf, and really cool that the FPO and MPO are playing on their own course. I mean, it really opens up the opportunities. I mean, you get to practice whatever time of day, you know,
so
without
nice,
waiting
honestly,
on every hole.
Having a very open practice tee times, and
you get a larger field. There's
absolutely,
I believe there's 50 in the FPO and 150 in the MPO. So great to have a venue such as the North Cove Leisure Club, and Kristen Tatar setting the bar high with a 9 under par. Thank you guys for joining us here on Central Coast Disc Golf. For Nate Perkins and Ella Hansen, we will see you for round 2.